Hi, my name is Ron Garcia. Along with my wife Belinda, we are the owners of the Garcia Group Property Management. And I am here today to have a brief conversation with you as a prospective tenant and what you can expect in the first steps of renting a unit through the Garcia Group. So I have a checklist I want to go over with you, and I hope it helps you out. Our goal is to have great rental properties, and in order to do that we have to have great rental property residents, and in order to have great residents we have to be a great company and have great communication. So to that end, this brief video hopefully will answer some of the questions you may have, or at least give you an expectation of what you're going to encounter. So first of all, I'm assuming that you've found a unit that we have available online, and it can be through our website or through these are propagated throughout the internet, and whether it's Zillow or HotPads or whatever place you found it. In order to apply for a unit, we do require as company policy that you actually see it, and if you're outside of the area and you can't geographically get to it, then we would expect you to have a family, friend, work associate, a proxy, somebody that you know who can physically make an appointment and take a look at the property on your behalf. We do that because we found over the years that renting sight unseen has some hidden problems, and we just don't want to get confronted with those issues when we can easily avoid them. And the demand is such that I know it can be a little awkward, but we do require that. Once you see the property online, you want to go to our website, garciagrp.com, and look at the screening guidelines. Sometimes people will call us with a unique story. There's nothing that any of my staff or any of us can tell you without having an application being processed as to whether or not you qualify or be denied. So we don't really do any pre-screening or any pre-denials. If you like the unit, we want you to apply. And our goal is to rent properties, not to deny applications. So as long as you feel it matches the screening guidelines, that it's a good bet, we'll do what we can to make it work. If for whatever reason we can't make the application work, we're going to let you know, and we're going to give you the reasons why, and we're going to send you out a mailing to that end. If there's multiple applications on the property and you're not in first position, we will not run your credit or your process your application unless the other applicant in front of you either is denied or changes their mind. So we do it on a basis, we run one application thoroughly, it's either approved or denied, and then we move on to the second one or third one. So if we have multiple applications and we don't process yours because of that, we will refund the application fee to you. When you apply, if you have an animal or a pet, we're going to ask you to also run their application through what's called petscreening.com. If it's a pet, it's a $10 fee for that process. If it's a companion animal or a service animal, then they do not charge for the service, but we still require that you run through that screening process. And part of it is there are cases where service animals allegedly are really not, and some pets can be denied based on the fact that without immunization or licensing. So we just want to make sure that all of our residents are safe, and if it's pet friendly, that the people who have the animal or pet understand that there's a liability that goes with that, and it's all taken care of up front. Once your application's approved, you're going to be getting a congratulations email from the portfolio manager. So our company runs about 600 to 700 units, and we have we have 4 portfolio managers. So at that point in time, you'll get the email, you'll get assigned the person you're going to be dealing with throughout your stay. That email is also going to ask you for the deposit to hold. The deposit to hold is going to be equivalent to the amount that will become your security deposit. If for any reason you change your mind once you pay the deposit to hold, that's a non-refundable fee for taking the property off the market. So we want to make sure you're sincere, and we don't want other people to lose out on the unit as well. Our policy for holding a unit that's vacant on an approved application is 10 days. So there might be a reasonable accommodation or an exception, but if you're looking at holding it for longer than that, you may not, you may miss the boat. You may have to reapply or hold your application until you're at that 10-day period, as it gives other people a chance who are more ready to move in on a vacant unit the opportunity to do so. When you do schedule your move-in, you'll be asked to bring in a cashier's check for your first month's rent, an entire month's rent. So if you're moving in on the 5th or the 15th, we're still going to require a full month's rent paid, and those funds have to be in a cashier's check payable to the Garcia Group. There's two accounts that you need to know about. There's the Tenants Security Deposit Trust account by law, where your security deposit is placed. And then there's the Client Trust account, and that's where your rent payments are made. But that's an internal thing. It's just you need to know those funds are held in two separate trust accounts per the state of Oregon's regulations. All your security deposit is refundable by law. We're going to come back to that on final accounting in a second. But your rent is not. So the prepaid rent you do on the first month moving in, is the full month. The second month is when we prorate whatever the difference is. So if you moved in on the 25th of the month, there's 5 days worth of rent. On the first of the following month, you'll be expected to pay those 5 days of rent. So once you set up your rental account, and you would do that through the tenant portal, you'll get an opportunity to pay rent online through that portal, and it's a ACH payment, or it can take debit or credit cards as well. I think they charge a fee for that. It's the fastest, easiest, safest, most insurable way that your rent's paid on time every month. And about 87% of our tenants pay online. We'd like to get it to 100%. So if for any reason you don't want to pay it online, you can mail it in. And if you mail it in, you're going to want to mail it to our P.O. Box, Garcia Group at P.O. Box 999, Lake Oswego, Oregon 97034. We do discourage walk-in payments. It sounds kind of counterproductive, but our office is open 9 to 5. The front desk, they may be out to lunch. There's other people involved. There's different things. We have a drop box that you can use. But frankly, if there's going to be a lost rent payment, it's going to be because somebody dropped it off or brought it in, didn't get a receipt for whatever reason. There's just too many hands in between. So the post office box, it's like a lock box for the rent. And obviously online, we have the payment. It's done perfectly. So that's the preferred method. If you have a check that has insufficient funds, there is a fee that's $25, and there's a $15 bank fee, so it turns out $40. And if it's additionally causes it to be late after the 5th of the month, there's an additional $100 late payment. So hopefully you can avoid that. You know, I've been in the business years and years, and I've never ever heard a bad reason for paying late. The reason people don't pay for housing is always something very legitimate. So I totally appreciate that. It doesn't make us think any less of you. However, there's no way to refund or waive those late fees. So we really will do what we can to help you avoid receiving them. So once you're online with the tenant portal, you also now have access to 24-hour maintenance request service. That's the easiest, fastest, most efficient way to get a maintenance request handled. They go right to the property manager. We're able to transfer them. Either we're doing the work in-house or transferring it to the vendor who would be appropriate. You can also phone call in to our office, 503-595-4747, and hit extension 9. You're going to end up getting a voicemail, so you're going to feel a little frustrated, but those voicemails are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If it's an emergency, whether it's after hours or during regular hours, we're going to respond to it pretty quickly. But again, the easiest way for non-emergency, particularly maintenance requests, is online through your tenant portal. If it's an emergency, you can do it all. You can call us, but I mean, call us, email us, do a maintenance request. It's going to be a little bit overkill, but an emergency is fire, flood, and blood. I mean, if something is, if your electric is a huge problem, if there's no heat and it's cold, if the roof is leaking, if there's water coming out of a fixture, we need to get it stopped and fixed and triaged as soon as possible. We want to get on it as soon as we can. If you smell gas for any reason, get out of the house. Rotten egg smell, that's the first thing. Don't bother making a phone call. Don't bother emailing us. Just get out of your house and call Northwest Natural Gas. That's the first step. We can do with the rest after you're safe. All maintenance requirements create inconveniences, and some are frustrating for all the wrong reasons. We can't get the tech out fast enough. There wasn't a proper scheduling. The appointment was changed by you or the technician or us. Our goal is to service everybody as best as we can. Some things do require a longer time frame than others, and some requests are more urgent and might bump a less urgent one back a little bit. So I appreciate that there is frustration. We do our best to accommodate you, and hopefully you'll do your best to be patient and considerate of us as well. At some point in time, you're gonna move out. And when you move out, you're going to want to see if that security deposit is going to come back to you. Now, when you move in, I forgot to say, we're going to do a move-in inspection. We take an iPad out there and we take lots of pictures. And then we're going to leave you a piece of paper that allows you to document any other additional notes that you want to make sure are in your file. We're not trying to keep your deposit. I've always told people that we want to give it back to you. We don't make any money in the company. Any money we keep from you in your deposit is going to go to the owner to pay for damages. We have to give you proper accounting. There's liability with that. So our goal is to give it back. We only keep it when there's legitimate repairs that have to be done. Or if you leave stuff and we have to haul it, it's going to be more expensive for us to do the work than for you. So charges that can look a little outrageous are legitimate when we have to pay people $65 an hour or whatever the fee is to do simple things like replacing a smoke detector. But a lot of that, at the end of the time when you move out, we're going to go and within 30 days make sure by law we send out your refund and final accounting to you. So when you do move out, you want to make sure you give us a forwarding address and deliver the keys on the day that you vacate the property, because until we know that it's vacant, it's pretty hard to estimate when your actual vacate is. I mean, typically it's the end of the month, and on the 1st you're going to drop off the keys. And I'd love it if it was always that easy and routine. Most of the time it is, but if there's any extenuating concerns, you should make sure that your property manager is in communication with you about that. We have lots of resources on our website for you in the meantime. The tenant handbook, you're probably given a copy of that when you move in. We also have that online at garciagrp.com, which gives you a great overall on some of the responsibilities and things to do. And then on our site we also have YouTube videos for easy or common problems that you can fix yourself without waiting for a maintenance tech. If your garbage disposal is jammed, if a toilet is running, if the smoke detector keeps beeping, how to replace the battery. So some of those YouTubes, they might seem silly to some people, but they're really helpful for others, and they're there for your convenience. If you think of something that we don't have, we'd love the recommendation and maybe put that on there as well. In the overall scheme of things, our goal is to make your stay and your residence through the Garcia Group as trouble-free and as pleasant as possible. We want to have great relationships with you. We want to keep you as a great tenant, and all that goes to servicing our great rental properties. So thanks for taking a minute and watching the video, and I wish you all the best in your occupancy.